Welcome, everybody, to another episode of BDCRX. I'm excited to have the guest in the conversation we have today. Before we get to Lucky, Shawn, how you doing today, buddy?
I am doing pretty good, pretty good. It's working. So here we are again with another awesome guest, and we're gonna have real conversations with real questions, and we're gonna get into the trenches on this one.
Absolutely. Lucky, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here in Detroit, and couldn't be better. Let's
Yeah.
roll.
Well, you showed up and all dressed up and dapper and making us look bad. I didn't put a collar on today. I just went with the T-shirt, and I kind of regret it, but you're here to dress to impress, so I appreciate that. All right,
No
so
doubt.
just to jump in, I know a little bit about you, Lucky, but I know from what I understand, you've been in the car business pretty much your whole professional career. If you can, tell us a little bit about your story on that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's never something that I thought I would get into, like the car business in general. It's just one of those things. You grow up in Detroit, and you're going to be around it, right? Whatever industry you're in, you're some way related to the car business. It's everything that's in this town. So I started at a company selling photography equipment to dealerships when I was about 16 years old. Did that for 2 years, and then at that point, the company ended up being sold to Carvana. Right, so company sold. I'm out of a job. We're not selling to dealerships anymore. But I had been, in and out of dealerships, and I thought, hey, this seems like a really fun work environment, right? A good place to make a career, a good place to be around people. So started off selling cars, did that for about 2.5 years, and then from there, I said, hey, I want to get into management, want to grow, want to have a long career in this business. So became a finance manager with the group that I'm with currently, which is the Dick Scott organization. Great organization to work for, great people to work for, just honest, straight up folks. Yeah, and they've been great and as far as mentoring me along in my career and allowing me the opportunities to develop and do everything. The Scotts are awesome. So started off as a finance manager at their store in Fowlerville. And then from there, about a year ago at this time, I became the used car manager at our store in Plymouth, Michigan, which is about 20 minutes outside of Detroit.
The question I have for you that I've never thought of, but as you said, kind of as you navigated through your journey, one of the first roles you have, like almost everybody in the dealership world, is you started off as a salesperson. And I love to hear this from both of you guys. What do you think are the two or three primary attributes somebody in the car business should have to be good at selling cars? Like, what's some of the things that you need to have to be good at selling cars in this business?
Well, I could tell you the three things that I look for when I'm interviewing somebody for a salesperson position
Perfect.
is charisma, coachability, and intelligence. And I think if you have all three of those traits, you're going to be successful in this business, right? The only other thing that you really can't account for when you're interviewing somebody is their work ethic. That more you can kind of just get from the vibe of how quickly they respond to you and how eager they seem to be, in getting into that job. But if they're coachable, if they're charismatic and they're intelligent, so they can learn the process, learn the way of selling cars, they're going to be successful. It's almost inevitable.
So what would you say? I mean, you've got, all the experience in the world. You've been around so many places and people and areas and types. Is there a certain characteristic that just this is the profile you look for?
Well, you know what? This is quite interesting. You know me, I like to pull things apart. Characteristics for sure. I will go out on a limb. I don't know if you'll agree, Lucky, and you don't have to. This is a safe space. So this is where we like to have the conversation. So, but the thing for me is very important. One of the things, and I'll get to the answer, but it's slightly long winded. Being in the industry 23 years, we've done a lot of great things. This industry is amazing. It's given me so much. It's also taken away so much, but I just love it. Once you're in it, you're in it. One of the elements that I would like to see over time actually get better is where we fail the most. And this is my opinion, but it's a strong one, the hiring process.
Mm,
I do recognize that we are governed from a month to month business, unlike a lot of like Fortune 500 companies where it's like Q1, Q2, Q3 type stuff. The car industry is very specific in that area. So I do understand that upper management, ownership, they're kind of being governed by this quick month to month. So that would have knee jerk reactions as to, hey, let's just go out and hire the number one salesperson that's going to put the most pins on the board. So,
mm.
with regards to that answer, I think it would be very dependent on the department in which you're hiring for.
Mm.
Generally speaking, Lucky nailed it. First of all, I absolutely agree with his list. But what are we really talking about here? Like that list, to me, those are just common human values that we should all have, right? So I think it's important to really list, if it's for sales, what are the attributes for sales, which Lucky absolutely displayed. What are the attributes for BDC though? See, and this is a long 23-year battle that I've had. Attributes of a BDC person will be dependent on the characteristics of the BDC for that dealer. Is it a Glengarry, Glen Ross, always be closing,
Yeah.
high pressure, high push? Great,
Yeah.
fine. Hire those people.
Yeah.
Is it more relationship based, third, fourth generation? We love our customers, we want repeat business. That's a different personality. So to answer that question, I think for me personally would be very unprofessional without first understanding the context. So I think it's really about understanding what ecosystem that you currently have, and both work, both are fine. But what I'm saying is understanding what ecosystem that you thrive in, and then going out and sourcing the person to put them in that space.
I'll add this part to you, and I'll explain to you kind of why I asked this question, because it's something I've been talking a lot about with my leaders within my organization. And for me, I've always looked for three characteristics, and I look for traits more than personalities in the interview process, because I think there's no specific personality that will work. If you have these three traits, it tends to work well under my leadership style and the people that I've developed through my. And so I would add to that is it is also like when you say the environment, that Glengarry, Glen Ross, or is it more of a relationship style building type of environment? For me, I look for people who have thick skin. I think that's very important in a high volume rejection sales job, and BDC is incorporating of that. So you have
Mhm.
to have the ability to take a high volume of rejection and have a lot of mental toughness through a lot of rejection. I look for people who have a student mentality, which ties into exactly what Lucky said in the coaching side, coachable side. And I look for people that are self-aware. And I think that if you're self-aware, you
Mm.
can understand what you're strong at, understand where you're weak at. When you tie that in with the coachability, now you
Mm,
can go and truly understand, what do I need to be, what do I need help with, what do I not? So often people think they're good at one thing and they're really not good at it. Or they think
Mm.
they're bad at this, but this isn't even their biggest weakness. They've got two or three other things that they're weak at. And they're going to try to solve those problems, but they have other issues, or they don't even really understand how they're received. For instance, I know when I interact with certain people, I'm very aggressive, I'm very assertive, I'm very confident. So
Mm.
I can't have a soft, sensitive person that works for me, because I've got to be able to speak directly with a certain tone, with a certain confidence. And I need to have somebody with thick skin to be able to receive the coaching that I benefit. So for me, I asked that question, Lucky, because I do agree with, there is a different role in BDC, a different role in sales. So as
No doubt.
in that explanation, would you say there's maybe different characteristics on the BDC side of your business than you would on somebody just frontline selling the cars?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, you could have a great salesperson, and I've seen it before where you'll have a guy that can do 25, 30, 35 cars a month, but he can't follow up to save his life, right? It's just he lives off walk-in traffic. He just understands there's something about it, right? I don't, you can't really put your finger on it, but people like him, and he knows how to sell a car when the customer's in front of him. But after that customer leaves, he's got no chance, right? He's out at that point. A person like that might be great on the sales floor, but they're not going to be good in the BDC, right? That'd be a horrible role for them. Just because that I think would be the main characteristic and the main difference that you'd see between a really good BDC and a really good salesperson. Probably something that you mentioned, which I thought was brilliant. I might have to steal your three and replace mine, with thick skin. I think the BDC, there's going to be a lot more rejection than you would as a salesperson, right? If you sit down with somebody, if you're a good salesperson, you're going to close them 30 to 40% of the time. With BDC, obviously, that's going to be a smaller closing percentage to begin with. So I think those two attributes probably would be different from what you'd see in a high level salesperson.
And you know what? You bring up, sorry, Matt. I really want to emphasize on this, because just to let you know, Lucky, there's a broad spectrum of people that are going to be looking at these shows, which is exactly why Matt and I teamed up. We're two completely opposite people. We do two completely opposite, same BDC stuff, but completely different ways to do it. same mindset, same passion, same drive. So a lot of people are going to be watching this, from BDC agents all the way to GSMs and dealer principal and everything in between. So whenever I hear something, I really want to make sure, especially when we get amazing people like you to join us on the show, it's important that, you know, we educate and give answers and ask some of the tough questions to see what you've done. That's definitely going to help somebody. So you've
Mm,
seen, you know, yourself and Matt, both of you have been saying the word rejection, 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 thick skin.
mm,
Love it. Totally agree with it. I've been doing this for a very long time. I would like to just really quickly, knowing this,
mm.
knowing that this ecosystem is based on rejection, what have you done or what do you do with regards to when you're selecting somebody in that interview process, knowing already that all of this rejection, because they don't know what they're walking into. So knowing that, what does the coaching look like outside of thick skin? Because the closing percentages, obviously from BDC, like you said, luckily, will be a little bit lower. Why? Because of volume. You know,
Yeah.
we're talking anywhere from 500 to 1,000 leads a month compared to 30 walk-ins a week, right? So obviously, you know, apples with apples, right? So knowing that rejection, what does the coaching look like? What does that coaching look like?
Are
Like,
you
okay,
are you
great. We found someone, they're coachable. What is the approach that you would recommend with regard? Is it role playing? Is it explaining what the BDC does? Like, what approach do you have to get your BDC people ready for this rejection?
you I think you well, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's getting them ready for the rejection, right? I think that starts off in the interview process, right? If you found somebody like Matt said, right, that is really self-aware, that seems to be grounded within themselves, understands themselves, I think they're going to be able to handle rejection better than some other people would. And then beyond that, you just talk them through it, right? Whether it's BDC, whether it's sales, whether it's F&I, any position, a service writer, right? If they're dealing with customers, there's going to be ebbs and flows to it, right? There's going to be one week where they're on top of the world and they can close everybody that walks in. There's going to be another week where they think they can't close a book, right? And the truth, I always say, is somewhere in the middle. So it's really watching your people, whether it's a salesperson, service writer, F&I manager, or BDC, and you see it. I mean, you're with these people more than you are your family, right? So you have a really good idea of what they're thinking, what they're feeling, kind of where they're at on things. At least you are if you're a good manager, right? Because you're kind of keeping up with them and you have a relationship there, and you just help them through it, right? I mean, I've had guys that have really tough months, really tough weeks, and we all have. And it's just important to be there by their side, not blame them as a person, but figure out what aspect of the process they're doing incorrectly and kind of just develop it that way, right? And that's really what I think it comes down to.
Shawn, let me add this, and this is kind of the approach I like to take with the process is I think in any sales environment, I've always tried to simplify it, and especially the very beginning, the first month or two, that any successful day, week, or month always ties back to one of three things. It's your pitch, your pace, and your attitude. For me, that is the core fundamental aspect of how I teach sales. And the pitch is obviously your elevator pitch, overcoming objections. It's what you say in the interaction with the customer. The pace is the overall activity that you do throughout your day. So making 70 calls a day is going to be not as good as making 90 calls a day. Especially when you're new, the quantity is more important than the quality because the quality will come with time. And then last
Mm,
but not least, I would say 90% of a successful salesperson, especially in a BDC, but I would say in every sales environment I've ever been in, has always tied to the attitude, the mindset, the attitude, the confidence, the excitement, the enthusiasm in which you can do it. Because the attitude will allow the pitch to be received better. The attitude will drive the pace for to have you work harder. When you're motivated and you've got a strong attitude, you'll make those 10, 15 extra calls because you're more motivated. So for me, I always simplify a successful day, week, month always ties back to how good your pitch, your pace, and your attitude was. And that keeps that process very simplistic to digest. And then from a coaching perspective, I always use that simplistic approach of find one thing to offer coaching on, not 10 things,
mm,
one thing, and
mm,
then you shit sandwich it. And that's a crude way to say it, but everybody understands it. Positive, constructive criticism, end with positive. When you start with the positive, they're more willing to take the constructive criticism. When you end with the positive, they're more willing to implement that constructive criticism. Don't overwhelm them with 15 things, Focus on
Mm.
one, solve the one, then move the goalpost to the next thing and go on and on and on. That's my thought
No
process.
doubt. No doubt. I always like too, I always relate it back to myself because a lot of times I think if a salesperson's going through a rut or a downturn, they think they're the only person that's ever done that before.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to them like, hey man, I've had months where I had 25 one month, all of a sudden I had 10 the next, you know what I mean? And then you have 30 the month after that. It's really hard to gauge sometimes. Sometimes maybe you're not in the right mindset. Maybe there's a lot going on, but I think it's also important to let them know like this is normal, right? If you're interacting with customers, if you're dealing with customers on a daily basis, not every week you're going to crush it, right? Not every day you're going to crush it. It's just the reality of the business. You just have to focus on that process and continue to develop yourself, but not look at yourself in a negative way. And I think it really, really emphasizing that to them is really important.
What do you do on this process? I mean, like we're talking about these characteristics. We're talking about when we're hiring, and then how we coach to kind of make sure it gets better. Obviously, you're a fantastic coach. What is your thought process and how you break that down?
First things first, build around systems. I don't care which department it is. Every department requires a system. Because for me, where I've had great success is that when you create a system, it's about hiring the person and putting them into the system as opposed to hiring around a person.
Mm.
The value of the person goes way up, and there's just too much at stake if you hire that best salesperson, put them on the floor, they're doing amazing, great job. Now what happens when they walk away? What happens now when they want more money and you have to say no because you're going to unbalance your entire sales floor and everybody's going to be jealous? Now they go away. You're missing all of those pins. You're missing all of that performance, so to speak. I fundamentally believe in surgical documented processes, flows, even org charts. It's got to be clear about where you want to go. So let's call it what it is: trajectory. I fundamentally believe more in trajectory than results. Let me clarify. Results are very important, obviously. But, you'll have one good month, two bad months, three good months, up and down. It's very volatile when you're just looking at the result. Kind of like what you were alluding to, Lucky, about, someone's having a bad week, good week. And that happens to all of us. When we focus on trajectory, daily goals, what is the daily goal for today? My mentor used to always tell me, dude, you can have a bad day, but you shouldn't have a bad week. And if you have a bad week, you better not have a bad month. And the only way to know where you are in your performance of that month is trajectory. Because when we solve problems at a results level, it's momentary. Yeah, you'll have a couple of good months, bad months, but it's very hard to build around volatility. I fundamentally believe to make a consistent, sustainable business impact, we need to solve problems at the systems level. So I'm very much about understanding what is my current state. Let's talk about BDC because it's a BDC show. When I walk in as a consultant coach, it's about my client or my partner, not about me. The first thing that I need to do after, and we were actually talking about this off camera, Matt, we just know where to look, which is why we do what we do. Is it that we're better than somebody else? Not necessarily, because define better. Like, I don't have the hubris to say I'm the number one BDC trainer. Like, no, there's amazing people out there. It's just I have failed my way to success. So when I'm working with people, the first thing is, what is your current state? Where are you? What is your desired state? Where do we want to be? And then in between, which I call the gap, which is where I live, what behavior, what people, or what do we need to enhance to get there? So I fundamentally believe it's about trajectory and understanding where you are. And in the service space, because I do both BDC sales and service, and I adopted this from the service, pretty much you should have an end of month every day. If the month were to end today, where are we at? Type thing. So I really believe you can improve what you don't measure. I fundamentally believe in daily reporting, weekly reporting, and monthly reporting. It all comes together. So it's about systems to me. If you have an iron tight system, like Lucky, let me ask. Behind you, there's a board, correct? It's old school pin.
Oh yeah.
I remember those days with the magnets and you turn them and all that stuff. We have everything as leaders. You have everything you need behind you, literally.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
So we already know if Tommy is behind for the week, right? So it's about getting to Tommy and motivating him and giving him the tools. before Tommy gets in his head and then just goes into this volatility or this labyrinth of negativity. So I really fundamentally believe it's about systems and trajectory. If we continue at this pace, if Tommy continues at this pace, if Shawn continues at this pace, where are we going to be? So that's almost predictable.
Let me ask you this, just to switch into the BDC side, because Shawn, everything you're saying there, I've heard you talk quite a bit about, and I know it works. You've helped me with building the team we're building and doing what we're doing. And so I've seen you use that gap in action. Lucky, right now, I understand you have an in-house BDC. This is a BDC. I believe it's 5 people, correct? 3 or
4
5?
people.
4 people. 4 people.
Yep.
This BDC manages a volume of 3 stores, I assume all in a close proximity, right? Right now, what do you think that you and the BDC are the best at?
I think what we do a great job of is, you had mentioned earlier, Shawn, hire BDC people based on the style of your dealership, right? Is it we're hard closing, we're gonna get them this one time and we're gonna crack them over the head, or are we building a relationship with the customer? And the Dick Scott organization, we're all about building the relationship with the customer, right? We've been in Plymouth since 1978. We're still completely family owned. All of the brothers and the sons of Dick Scott run all the stores. Like, we are a complete family business. So I think we do a really good job of actually building a relationship with the customer, rather than making it just some sort of transaction. It's like, hey, not only do we want to sell you this car, we want to sell you the next 10 and make sure you have a good time doing it. Right. And I don't think anybody goes, hell yeah, I'm going to the car dealership today. This rocks. But we try to make it as best we can. And, if they have a better buying experience here, I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Let me ask
So I think
you, double click on that, because Shawn and I have had this battle, right? He's trying to instill into me that the BDC is not a transactional sales role. It is one that can result in a transaction, obviously, but it is more of selling an experience and building a relationship.
no doubt.
Talk with me how you do that from the BDC side at your store to kind of implement that personality your store has.
Couple things. I mean, we've had continuity in the BDC. 3 of our BDC representatives has been here for 5 years plus, right? So when they bought their last car, they were working with that BDC, or the last time they serviced it, they were working with the same service BDC. So there's continuity in that. And then beyond that, I would say we do a couple different things. So something that we started recently is our BDC, as well as our sales representatives, when we get a lead in, they send out like a personalized video. So, hey, Mr. Customer, you're looking at this specific car. I'll be your BDC. And now, not only is it a nice voice over the phone or a nice email, a nice text, but now you can see them, right? You see what that person looks like. And, they have a Michigan accent just like you, and they look like a typical Michigander. So it's really building that relationship with the customer. So I'd say continuity there, the way that we train them, and we have a really great BDC staff. So what they're doing with that, and beyond that, that car film and sending out a video really early on to the customer, just to kind of separate us from other dealers.
Matt, let me take this one real quick, because I know a lot of people would probably be yelling at the screen right now. So I want to make sure that I reach out to them. So, Lucky, that's, first of all, amazing. Congratulations. Seldomly do I ever see that kind of a rich, deep tradition of people 3-4 years at the BDC, especially that many people. Kudos to you guys and the whole group. Excellent work. I love hearing these types of stories. I have so many questions. So with regards to the videos, love it. I personally think Duran Cage is going to kill me if he's watching this. Shout out to Duran, one of my boys. I love video. Duran is just surgical with that stuff. And I personally believe that video never took off the way I think everybody thought it was going to. I think it's a very cool concept, but I don't think it saw the light of day. The people that are doing it well. And the people that have kind of fallen off, well, they probably just didn't put too much energy into it. So let's talk about this really quickly for the people that are watching that are doing it, or maybe for the people watching this that are considering doing this. So walk me through this from first things first. Just to let you know, Matt, there's a difference between BDC, internet teams, cradle to grave, et cetera, et cetera. The ecosystems that I build are relationship based. So that's what I meant by BDC. Why? Because when it's not an internet team, or let's just call it what it is, cradle to grave, we have an abundance of leads that we need to get to. right? So when you have such an abundance of leads, if you are a cradle to grave and you're getting all of these leads coming in, so many things will suffer. Your appointments will suffer. Lead response times will suffer. The guest experience will suffer, et cetera, et cetera. And to no fault of your own, but when they do too much, you have to consider this onslaught of leads that continue to come in. So with regards to the video, Lucky, let's say I'm a BDC, I'm in their office, a lead comes in. Are they doing the video from their desk or are they walking around a car? Can you just walk us through the logistics of how that works?
So we
I
do
know
it a couple
a lot of people will probably be thinking about this.
down. So what they do is they have a pre-sent video, right? So when they send out, hey, you're looking at this specific car and all those texts and emails like they normally would, they also send out sort of an introduction. Hey, I'm Lori. I'm with the BDC. I'll be the one helping you. I don't think she actually says I'm with the BDC. That's not.
No, 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 no.
But you get what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? She's introducing
We
herself,
won't hold you to it, Lucky. We
putting a
won't
face
hold
to
you
the
to
name.
it.
And then the other thing that we do is we have the salespeople go out and actually take, it's called a car film. That's the app that we use, a video of that specific car. So if it's a new car and they're on this specific stock number 25 Ram, we're going to have the salesperson go out and send a video. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to have obviously quickest response to a lead as possible. So, have all the stuff that we would normally do, and then also build kind of a difference maker for us in putting a face to the name, and then also showing them, here's the car, right here it is. Because we want them to know, like, hey, is this a car that's going to work for you? Here's a video of it. And on the used cars, which is my side of things, that works out really well because it's like, here it is. Look how clean it is. Look how beautiful it is. And then the salespeople back out of the process, and then it kind of just goes into the BDC from that point forward until we get the appointment. But we've seen a lot of success with it. In Michigan, there's a lot of dealers, like a lot of dealers, particularly in Metro Detroit, right? You trip and fall. You fall into a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer. So it's really important to find a way to separate yourself. And I think we've done a great job of that, and our BDC is phenomenal.
So what time? And you were talking about results and doing better without getting too personal, of course, or giving us any, I don't want to say a real number, but maybe percentage wise, from when you weren't doing it to now, what kind of an uptick did you guys feel? It could be over time or what have you, but what kind of an uptick did you feel with regards to, hey, listen, this is working? How did you know it was working? What was the thing, the measurement, or was it just, hey, we're just getting more appointments?
Honestly, the biggest thing that we've seen success, like where you could really quantify it, because it's kind of hard to tell, right? Just based off, hey, we're sending out videos. Like, how do you quantify that? Obviously, cars sold, but the earliest kind of sign that it's been working was we had folks driving a longer distance to come buy cars from us, right? We had folks driving from the other side of the state, other side of town, where they're passing 40 Chrysler stores to come here, right? And there's a reason behind that, right? They have some sort of relationship with our BDC, and now we're the only dealer that sent them a video, essentially, right? We're the only one that took that extra step and put in the more effort. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've seen as a difference maker.
Nice. And I just want to sit here for a second. Sorry, Matt. I really these are legitimate questions that I have.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucky. And I'm sorry to put you in a hot seat, but I'm a student of the business myself, right? So okay, great. So you're starting to do the videos. We see there's more, out of state kind of people coming. Wonderful. Let's now, without saying their name, unless you want to, but we didn't get any sponsorship money. So, but let's just talk about the video company you're using without saying names. They give you, because I am one of those, you cannot improve what you don't measure. I've been as far as I'm just like a data freak. How data marries relevant coaching. So I've been called a mad scientist at times by a lot of people, right? Because it's very important to understand like current state, desired state. So with regards to that, so people are coming from out of state, this is working. What amount of intervention or support did that company, did they give you any kind of metrics that we could share with anybody watching? Like, I don't know, something like, hey, if you send 100 videos, we've seen it's gonna do this. Like, what's the thing? Is there any type of metric that you could share with anybody with regards to how do we know it's good?
It's one of those things. They had various metrics for us, but they weren't really like, hey, here's how it's going to quantify to cars sold. It's hey, this is the click-through rate to your website. It went up X%, all those sorts of things. Frankly speaking, I haven't looked at that on our end of things. Maybe that's something that I ought to look at. I can just feel it, right? When somebody comes in and they're, coming from out of state and they go, hey, the reason why we drove up is because, Ivan sent us this video and we just have this
Mm,
experience with him. And people are on their own. Like, we're not going out and going, hey, did you like the video we sent you? They're doing it on their own, right? And when we're selling cars based off that, and it's a pretty inexpensive system that we use as well, why wouldn't
correct.
we use it? Why wouldn't we keep using it?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah. Mm,
And I think this is maybe a point that might marry kind of Shawn's and my thoughts on this. Is my concern of that focus is it affecting other parts of the business that might be measurably being able to help even more? One of the things that I could tell you that my team focuses on most is speed to lead. All of the data I've looked at and analytics I've reviewed indicates the most important metric for a BDC's success is getting to that first call and getting the connection inside of 5 minutes. The last data I saw was that 66% of customers that you're unable to get a connection with in the first 5 minutes, they're gone. My concern is if you're leading with the video, and maybe you're not leading with the video, maybe you're calling first, sending a text, sending an email, and the video is a part of that process, but not the first part of the process. My concern is if you're leading with the video, it might improve the experience, but it might affect the speed process. What do you say on that?
No, so we've kept our exact same process in terms of responding to the lead. The only thing that we've added to it is, hey, once you've spoken to the customer, once you've sent a text, once you sent an email, once we've done all those things, we're also going to send. You don't want me to use the name of the service. We're going to send a video. We're going to send a video of some sort to the customer. But it's just about improving that experience. It's really important that we build lifetime customers. That's what the Scots are all about.
Awesome.
I mean, their name's on the building, right? It's not like
yeah.
we're a Lithia store or anything like that. The name's on the building. Their dad's name's on the building. So it's really important that we represent them well. So yeah, no, that's what it's been about, building a better experience for the customers. And we've seen success with it. When I say it's a massive home run, right? We're selling 100 more cars a month off of it. No, but we have seen success, and I think it's helping us build a better relationship with our customers.
I think that's wonderful. That's a win to me, man. I think that's kudos to you, Lucky. I think that's wonderful, man.
And I'll say this too, Lucky. The biggest client I work with in the BDC, they have a video process, and we've incorporated into our outsourced BDC process. The store does a video walk around day one, then they do a secondary video, or they do a introductory video day one, and then they do an actual vehicle walk around day two as a part of the overall cadence that we run. That's in congruence to what we're doing from an outreach perspective. So it gives them that store feel and the connection to the local area, the store, the person they're going to see in there, also the connection to the vehicle, while we're supplementing the store feel with the outreach that we provide on an outsourced BDC side. So I get it. I've got a dealership who's very similar to the Scott dealership you're talking about that has that same family feel, community style, trying to sell the family the history of their cars, not just this next car. And so I completely understand the value of it for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to sit here. I have one more question with regards to that because I want to make sure that we give back in Lucky. Again, kudos to you, man. It sounds like it's really airtight, and I just everything that you're saying to me is the measurement. I think we get lost a lot of times with the data and the pageantry of reporting, and I think sometimes just somebody coming over 2 states because of a video
No
is
doubt.
the win,
Yeah.
right? That is the win, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
that's what I meant by metrics. So I just want to stay here because I go into a lot of dealers and I get this question. And to be quite honest with you, I don't necessarily have the answer because this is just not my lane. So now that you're here, I'm absolutely totally gonna just jump on this opportunity. So you install video.
Mhm.
How do you go about making your employees comfortable on making videos? So does everybody just do it on their own from their phone, or did you guys put some kind of a process in place? And what did you do with the people that are like, well, I don't want to do them. I'm not comfortable.
So a couple things, and And I might get off track. So if I do, I apologize.
No,
So
there's no off track here as long
I,
as we're teaching
I
people.
don't want to act like I'm Mr. The name of the service is Car Film, and they've been phenomenal. Like I'm Mr. Car Film. What actually happened is we hired a new car sales manager, and she had used it at her group previous and kind of talked about it. And we were like, man, this is perfect for this is what we're about, right? Building a better experience for our customers, kind of develop into that next level. So she's been a huge part of one, bringing it in and then also helping implement it because she had so much experience with it, understands how it works. The other thing, too, that's really helped is I'll shout him out, man. Shawn Weaver, the owner of that company, he'll give you his cell phone number. I mean, you literally reach out to the guy anytime, and he's on it. He's dialed in. So I would say those two things obviously have helped out tremendously. And then we just have a great staff. We have some younger folks, so for them it was really easy to, they're used to taking videos on their phone. They're used to sending it to.
Yeah, I'm 47. I'm not like,
Oh yeah,
I'm not getting on no video. Look at this mug.
Yeah, and then our older salespeople. I mean, we frankly speaking, I think we have a really good culture as a store. A lot of our guys have been here for a long time, and there's a reason behind that. They're good salespeople, and they build good relationships with their customers. And then our older guys that haven't been here for quite as long, they're just good. They're good people, right? We do the best we can to implement a good culture and have our guys believe in the same values that we do as a store, and I think they do. So when we told them, hey, this is what we want to do, this is the reason behind it, right? It's not just, hey, we're doing it for the sake of doing it. We want to build a better experience for our customers. They really got behind that. And then, maybe it took a couple days, teaching everybody about it, getting it implemented, even though older salespeople saw the value of it, saw that they were selling more cars from it, saw that the customers were having a better experience. They're on board as much as we are. Right. So, it's been great. And I think you attribute the success to that, just having a great team in general.
Let me ask you this. So we talked a lot about what's working for you guys right now. Not everything is always working. Right now, Lucky, if there's one thing you could just fix, you can solve the problem, maybe we can help. What's the thing that you guys need the most help with that's just not hitting in all cylinders?
Not hitting in all cylinders. I mean, I guess you could always convert more leads into appointments, right? And you could always do that better. I think we do a good job of it. Like I said, I think we have a phenomenal BDC, but I guess any tips in general that we could improve on that. And one thing too, and I apologize, this is kind of off track a little bit, but I'm curious because you guys both know a heck of a lot about the BDC and the industry in general. Very off track, so I apologize. How do you think AI is going to impact our business? I'm very curious what.
I'm going to let Matt take this because good question. This is where me and Matt go like this. This is great. Matt, take it.
And we do. It's not that we go like this. It's I think we have two different viewpoints on where it might go, and so directly to the first part of your question, what I would push or the first part of your answer is what we'll go to after I answer the AI stuff, which is, do we know what the set rate is? Do we know what the show rate is? Because when you say, hey, we might need help with more appointments, first off, let's analyze, do you need help with more appointments? Do we look at the numbers? Like, is it good? Is it bad? What should it be? What shouldn't it be? Yeah. There's a lead source quality that could also factor into what is good and what's not good across the board. But regarding AI, I think that just a couple points. Dealerships are very, very slow to integrate new technology. They like the idea of it, but they're resistant to do it. I think that AI will be more prevalent in your day-to-day life before it's ever prevalent in your dealership life. But I think that AI is inevitable. Yeah. I think that AI will replace, I would say, more than 50% of what your people do inside of your business within the next 10 years, in my opinion, if not more. I think that the AI will be able to indistinguishably replace the BDC within less than 5 years. Now, I think the important part is for somebody like a Shawn or myself, or even a you, Lucky, is somebody will need to program that BDC to be placeable to the sales rep and the personality you have. But also the tone of the dealership, I believe, which will affect how willing their community is willing to accept the AI, because the resistance of change to technology, in my experience, has not been the consumer, it's been the dealer. And the dealer has so often programmed their community and their clients to interact with them a certain way. And so, for instance, the example I always give is that there was a period where digital retailing became such a huge part of what was the future of this business. Consumers were ready to interact with dealerships, digital retailing wise, virtually. Dealers had programmed customers that know that I'm only going to get the best deal if I walk in the dealership and haggle in the store, touch, feel, and do that. And so dealers were not ready to let that be the case until they had to be in COVID. So I would tell you that for me, I think AI will be ready before dealers are. And I think it is just inevitable. It's just how you use it and how you train it and program it. That's my thought process.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Go ahead, Lucky. Go ahead.
No, I guess my question with that is, so in implementing AI, and I agree with you, I think it's going to completely change our business over the next 10 years. I mean, how do we still keep that that family-based approach, the kind of way that we treat our customers now, with implementing AI? I think that could be a big thing that we run into is, like, again, we don't want to treat them as a number, right? We don't want to just treat them as a sale. We want to treat them as somebody in our community that we want to sell a lot of cars to and spend a lot of time with. How do we prevent AI from kind of getting away from?
I'll answer unless Shawn, you want to add. I mean, for me, I think that
I'll add after. I have some good ideas for Lucky.
And I've been the reason why Shawn and I, we talk about this quite a bit, because I'm exploring the idea of AI, not just for my BDC business, but for the other businesses that I run as well. And what I've been surprised to know is how much personality you can program into them, how much emotion you can program into them, how much empathy you can program into them. And so I think that maybe what's lost in what I think the way our consumers will interact with AI is sometimes people will look at AI as being easier to deal with and less sticky in regards to right now having to deal with people can be a little bit more of a challenge for some people. So they'll find it less intimidating dealing with that. But I think that what you'll find is it won't come off robotic. It won't come off systematic. It'll come off be able to connect with the customer and meet that customer where they are. It'll be able to identify if they speak another language, being able to match that energy. It'll be able to address the tonality and the emotion of the customer. It'll be able to read those things. It'll be able to build and establish relationships in a way that I think that maybe we're underestimating. And I still think that dealership experience will be very similar. I still think that you will still have people in the dealership that are going to be building those relationships. And I think salespeople become more of customer relationship people instead of transactional salespeople in the dealership. That's just my overall thought around the process. Shawn, what do you think?
I'm going to go on a limb here. First things first, I'm going to start off with a quote that I read long time ago. Actually, my mentor told me this, and it's just stuck in here. A fool with a tool is a fool with a tool. And the reason why I'm saying that, to your point, Matt, I am personally not against AI. It's coming anyway. It's not even coming. It's here, right? So resistance is futile, as they say. I'm not against it. However, great question, Lucky. How do we go about with the integration? That's where I am. As long as it's done correctly and responsibly by the people right now, those vendors or those companies, they're the ones right now that have the responsibility of doing this correctly and not force feeding us like a lot of our third-party sites. We got forced down our throats, the ICO. We got forced products. Well, to fix this problem, we created another product that's going to go on top of. So for how many decades have we been force-fed with just third-party marketing sources, right? So I think first things first, integration, my opinion, give your customers choice. There's got to be a switch at some point. You can't stop business, create all new customers and okay, AI. So I think first things first, however you want to do it, if it's when they call in, is it Samantha that's answering? Let them know first things first. Hi, I'm the AI. If you'd like to continue with me, press 1. If you'd like a real person, press 2.
Love that. Yeah.
Number 1, give me the choice.
Yeah.
First, let me warm up to this idea.
100%.
I might press 1 and it'll go to AI just because I want to try it. And then I might say, hey, you know what? That wasn't so bad, actually. Let me walk into it. So the first thing that I would recommend, choice. The second thing that I would recommend, slow integration. Some people are way too quick to adopt this thing and say, okay, let's put it everywhere. I've had a terrible experience just last week because my mom's shopping for a car with one of the local dealerships here. I ran into this AI thing. Whoa, bad person, bad system. It just did not go well.
Mm.
So when I say slow integration, when somebody, like, let's take for you, Lucky, if you adopt AI or you think about it, great. Everybody's going to get there eventually. The first question that I would recommend that everybody asks, okay, we want to get AI. Fantastic.
Mm.
Question: what problem are we solving for? Like, why do I want Samantha the AI or Peter the AI? What are we trying to do exactly? Is it trying to just answer the phones because the receptionist is just completely overloaded? Is it to know if the car is ready? So vehicle updates? Is it for leads? What problem are we solving for? Don't
Mm.
just put it everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's number one. So to really understand, I call them combustion points, to really understand where in your process does AI fit in. Let's say your road to sale has, I don't know, I just throw it out there. Your road to sale has 7 touch points from the time that they call, visit the dealership, sit down, follow up, BDC, whatever. Map out your 7 touch points. And then within those 7 touch points, okay, maybe I need AI in between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Or maybe I need it only at number 4. Where are we missing the mark that we need AI? And then the third thing, I personally, if I had a dealership, because the customers are yours, right? You've worked so hard to get them. I would go on a big marketing campaign with regards to, hey, listen, here at XYZ Motors, we're using AI. This is why we feel blah blah blah. So some kind of sensitize your people to what's about to happen instead of they call and it's just this thing that's happening.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I would
think to
recommend.
add to that, like providing that Carvana-based experience of training your consumer that this is how
Yes.
this process
Yes.
we've added benefits you
Yeah.
Correct.
is I think how you make that turn in to that process. And I agree. I don't think any dealership should go full bore on AI. A lot of dealerships already use AI. You just don't realize you're already using AI through some of the automations and some of the other things that are there. But you have to slowly walk into it piece by piece, add a little bit more. And then luckily, the last thing I'll add is, and you already know this, there's going to be a lot of bad AI before
Oh,
there's
for
any good
sure.
AI.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just making sure you choose the right person, you choose the right
Oh, yeah.
company, you choose the right way to integrate it in, because you can leave a bad taste in you and your owner's mouth if you have it integrated incorrectly and you've chosen the wrong partner to integrate that process in on.
No doubt.
I personally think, and my last thing to any vendor that's listening, and we're going to take advantage that we're even talking about this. So this is a message specifically to everyone out there that's actually building these things. The one thing that I would recommend, or my opinion, is the biggest mistake that we will ever make is trying to make it what it is not, and that's human.
Mm.
Let's stop
Hmm.
humanizing this thing. Like, just because you call it Samantha
Yeah.
doesn't make it not a robot, right? So it will never have empathy. It will never understand feelings. It serves a purpose 100%. But I think the idea of humanizing this thing is the biggest mistake we will ever make. That's really what makes us fundamentally unique as a human species, is our ability to feel people. And now all of a sudden we're going to start humanizing this thing. I think we're just going down a really big rabbit hole if that's the case.
What if it gets to the point though that it's better at selling than we are?
I,
It will.
It will be.
It
Like
will be
inevitably, right?
100%. But this
Yeah.
is my point. Lucky, this is my point. It's doing the thing. Great. Well, I'm sorry, but a zebra is not a horse, right? Like, it looks like one, but it's not. So if that's what it does, if that's the thing, great. Let it do that. But let's not humanize it. That's the one thing that's just is the pebble in my shoe right now.
Interesting. I saw a thing. It was on a business podcast that I listened to. I won't plug it. This is the most important podcast. You need to listen to this one. But there was a gentleman. He's like an angel investor in Silicon Valley, and he's essentially made an AI version of himself where you could pitch different pitches to him, right? And he says, hey, this AI version of myself, because it's just listened to every podcast, every talk, everything that I've ever done, it's an even better version than I am of it. And I think it's so interesting to see how that's going to affect sales in general. Like, we all record our phone calls. We all record the calls that our salespeople and BDC make and sales managers make. Imagine if you could just take all that, like whatever your best BDC is, or take your best salesperson, and you could break that down into an AI, or you have an AI where it's literally the best
Exactly
version.
what it is, Lucky. That's like,
yeah. I mean, that's going to be incredible.
I've already
It'll
talked
be very
to Shawn about it. And I've said, Shawn.
So then why do we, so let me ask a question then. Why do we need humans then?
You would need it. So that's interesting, right? It's like you'd need it for the in-person.
Why stop there? Let's keep going. Why don't I? And I'm divorced. I don't have a wife, so I could speak on this. I won't ask you guys, but why don't I just get a woman robot or a
lot
robot?
Of people will.
And it will just be perfect. No, never, dude. Never,
not you.
I got a vacuum.
Who are not born yet will.
I got a vacuum cleaner, and that's it.
That's a Black Mirror episode right there, man.
Yeah, and so, Lucky, I think of that evolution of what you just said is, I've got over 80 employees that work for me. Sometimes they have sick days. Sometimes they're going through a breakup. Sometimes I teach them and coach them how to be a perfect sales rep, and it just doesn't click, right? I can teach the computer of every time the customer says this, here are the 3 different ways we want the conversation to go. And then you take it here, and then they give me these objections. And then here are the 3 different ways I can navigate it. And in all of those ways, overcome the objection, deal with that, handle the emotion. We listen, acknowledge, we address the customer's scenario, and then those lead to a sale. The AI will absolutely be better at the salesperson, but it's dependent upon who teaches the AI. A bad salesperson who teaches the AI will never be as good as a good salesperson. But an excellent salesperson can teach the AI to be an excellent salesperson without the issue of all of the life that a human has to go through. So that it will be better. It will be more consistent. It will be more reliable, but we've got to get there. And we're still a far ways to get there, but it is, to me, inevitable.
But for now and until that happens, I'm still team human. So let's keep, like I said on the last show, Matt, and 100% of our employees are people, 100% of our customers are people, and 100% of our investors are people. It remains a people business for the moment. And until that does, I'm going to keep pounding away. I'm going to keep doing the good work. Lucky, it sounds like you guys have really created something special over at Dick Scott. I really, really salute you, my friend. And it sounds like you guys are doing some exciting things and a lot of integrity. And I really appreciate that. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're trying our best, man. We're trying our best. It's. I think it all comes down to working for a great organization, and the Scott organization are great.
Yeah, man.
So I'm really lucky to work here.
Yeah. First off, I appreciate you taking the time with us today, Shawn. Once again, thank you. Once again, for everybody who's a guest, I would just ask, like, comment, share, get started into the conversation, and let's keep it going. We'll talk soon, guys.